Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. In September of 2025, America was shaken to its core. News broke that Charlie Kirk, one of the most prominent conservative voices of his generation, had been assassinated. His death sent shockwaves across the nation. For millions, Kirk had been a household name. To some, he was a champion of free speech and conservative values. To others, he was a controversial figure, known for sharp rhetoric and unapologetic positions. But beyond the spotlight and the sound bites, Charlie Kirk was also a husband and a father. In the days that followed his tragic passing, a video began to resurface online. It wasn't a clip of him debating politics or delivering a fiery speech. It wasn't a podcast monologue or a campaign rally. It was something far simpler, far more human. The video captured Kirk on the set of Fox and Friends, pausing mid-appearance to embrace his young daughter who had wandered into view. The moment was tender, unscripted, and deeply personal. For many, it offered a glimpse of the man behind the political persona. For his supporters, it became a defining image of who Charlie Kirk was at his core, a father who loved his child. This is the story of Charlie Kirk, his rise to prominence, the tragedy of his death, the resurfaced video with his daughter, and the legacy that moment has left behind. Charlie Kirk was born in 1993 in Arlington Heights, Illinois. Raised in a middle-class household, he was shaped by faith, community, and the conviction that ideas matter. He did not follow the traditional path of many political figures. Instead of climbing through the ranks of academia or working quietly in policy, he burst onto the scene as a teenager. At just 18 years old, Kirk founded Turning Point USA, a non-profit dedicated to educating and mobilizing conservative students on college campuses. What started small quickly grew into a nationwide movement. With savvy social media strategies, energetic campus events, and bold messaging, Turning Point USA captured the attention of thousands of young conservatives. It also drew fierce criticism. Detractors accused the group of stoking division or spreading misinformation. But whether one admired or opposed him, Charlie Kirk had made himself impossible to ignore. By his early 20s, Kirk was appearing regularly on Fox News, writing books, hosting his own podcasts, and speaking at conferences across the country. His direct style, quick soundbites, and relentless energy turned him into one of the most recognizable figures in modern conservatism. For his fans, he was a truth-teller, someone willing to confront what they saw as liberal dominance in education and media. For his critics, he was a provocateur. Either way, his presence in American politics was undeniable. Away from the cameras, Kirk's personal life was also taking shape. In 2021, he married Erica Franceva, a Christian podcaster and businesswoman. Their relationship, often shared in small glimpses on social media, reflected shared values of faith and family. In August 2022, they welcomed their first child, a daughter. In May 2024, a son followed. For someone whose life was defined by public speaking and political battles, Kirk found his greatest joy in his growing family. Friends recall how his face lit up when he talked about his children, how much pride he took in being a father, and how important he believed it was to pass on his values to the next generation. But in September 2025, that future was cut short. On September 10th, Charlie Kirk was at Utah Valley University, preparing to give a speech. It was a routine event, the kind of appearance he had made countless times before. But as he addressed the audience, tragedy struck. Shots rang out. Kirk was fatally wounded. By the time emergency responders arrived, it was too late. The nation learned that Charlie Kirk, only 32 years old, had been assassinated. Authorities quickly took a suspect into custody. The investigation into motives began, but the details mattered little to those mourning. Across the country, tributes poured in. Supporters grieved the loss of a leader. Political allies called it a devastating blow. Even critics who had clashed with him politically expressed shock and sadness at the violence that ended his life. For his wife and 2 young children, it was a loss that could never be measured. In the days that followed, as memorials grew and debates about his legacy unfolded, one video rose above the noise. It was the Fox and Friends clip where his daughter wandered onto the set. Viewers watched as Kirk turned, smiled, and gently embraced her. His voice softened, his posture shifted, and for a brief moment, the fiery commentator disappeared, replaced by a father overcome with affection. That video spread rapidly across social media. Millions watched and shared it. Supporters posted it with messages about his character, his humanity, and his devotion to his family. Even those who had long opposed his politics admitted the clip was moving. It showed a side of Kirk rarely seen in public. In an era when public figures are defined by headlines and controversies, this simple moment became a reminder that behind every personality, every politician, and every commentator, there are human beings with families, with children, with lives far beyond the public stage. Unfortunately, as with so many events in today's world, misinformation also spread. Some posts online claimed that Kirk's daughter had revealed shocking truths about him. But there is no evidence for such claims. His daughter, still only a toddler, never made any revelations. The resurfaced video is not about scandal. It is about love, a father's embrace, and the fleeting moments that define what truly matters. The resurfaced clip has now become a central part of how many people remember Charlie Kirk. For his supporters, it encapsulates the man he was offstage, not just a conservative warrior, but a father and husband. For his critics, it humanized him in a way they had not expected. For his family, it is a cherished memory of time together, a reminder of his love that will endure long after the headlines fade. Charlie Kirk's death leaves behind a complex legacy. Turning Point USA, the organization he built from scratch, continues on under new leadership. His speeches, writings, and interviews remain points of debate. His critics will continue to challenge his ideas. His supporters will continue to defend and celebrate them. But alongside all of that, there now exists an image that transcends politics, a father holding his daughter, smiling in a rare, quiet moment. In the end, perhaps that is what matters most. Not the battles fought online, not the debates on stage, but the simple human connections that remind us of what life is really about. Charlie Kirk lived a short, intense, and controversial life. But he also lived as a father who loved his children. As the world reflects on his life and mourns his death, that is the truth that endures. Not a shocking revelation, not a hidden scandal, but the enduring power of love between a parent and child. Charlie Kirk's story is complicated. He was admired, he was criticized, he was influential, and he was divisive. But in his final days, one of the clearest images we are left with is not one of division, but of unity, the unity of a father and daughter sharing a fleeting, precious embrace. And maybe, in the end, that is how he will best be remembered.